What is up guys, Starship here today. I'm going to be talking about the synchro problem. So, as you all know, synchros are kinda useless in the game at the moment. Now, hearing that might upset you, and I'll tell you one thing. I definitely don't hate synchros at all. They're by far my favorite summoning method. So this isn't coming from some guy who hates synchros, wants them not to exist. No, the opposite is true. If anything, I would love for synchros to be viable, to actually play synchros in a lot of decks, and I always try to push for synchros in certain decks. But the truth be told, you know, synchros in general just completely suck. They're the worst summoning method in the game at the moment. I'd even argue rituals are in a better place because at least they got some overpowered support like pre-preparation of rites, something synchros obviously don't really have. So what is the issue with synchros? Synchros are a card type from around 2008, 2009, 2010. That's when they first came out. And after 2011 or 2012, they kinda struggled to be relevant. And there are multiple reasons for that. One of the biggest issues with synchros is that other summoning methods just are easier and have a bigger payoff. Like look at Exceed for example. For Exceed you only need 2 monsters of the same level, which isn't hard to do, and at that point you can either blow up the entire field, bounce back a card, get a like 10k attack or 5k attack beater depending which Utopia you run, which only requires 2 level 4s, you have Kali Yuga, you have rank other shenanigans, and it's like, okay. So to get the same amount of effort in a synchro card, usually you need a specific tuner and non-tuner monster. And they need to match in level. If they don't match in level, you can't even go into the synchro. So they're harder to summon. And the payoff just isn't there. Synchros just aren't as good. One of the issues is that most synchros just are old. We don't get a lot of new synchros, and when we do get a new synchro, usually they're underpowered. Like let's look at Junk Speeder for example. Sure, you can summon multiple tuners with it, but you can only summon synchros from the extra deck the entire turn. Which sounds great, you get multiple tuners, but there's multiple issues with that. One, if you get Ashed, or Veilered, or get Impermanence thrown on you, well, you're pretty much you're pretty much done so. Because to summon Junk Speeder you already probably need 3 cards. I mean, you need to get a synchro tuner, a non-tuner, and you somehow need to get both of these cards on the field. One of the easiest ways to do this is of course with Junk Converter, which is a pretty decent new support card. However, this card has one big issue, and that's that 2 big issues. One, it's not easily searchable. It's a reinforcement of the army target, but that's basically all that searches it. And you need to discard it and another tuner. They kinda go overkill mode with some of these discards. I mean, it's the same story with Resonators, which is another recently supported synchro archetype. Resonator command requires you to discard a Resonator monster. Why is this a big issue? Well, the answer is simple. Because these decks don't build enough advantage. If you use like Resonator command and get hand trapped, your turn is basically over. There's no point even trying to play because you just went -2, have only 3 cards in hand, and with that you need to create a strong enough board to survive the turn and have some kind of strong presence on the field after that. And that's one of the biggest issues with synchros, honestly. It's not just that they themselves are weak, it's because they're too easily countered by hand traps. Most tuners have a very easy opportunity or moment where you can hand trap them. Something like a Jet Synchron or Plague Spreader or Recover can easily be DD crowed from your graveyard, making it so you can't use the revival effect. At that point it goes very hard to adjust your combos because, well, extra deck space is always tight. You can't be caught just purely running synchros because in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Links are just overpowered as fuck, and you need to run multiple links, more so than synchros. Which can easily be seen in the meta. Some people like to say, no, synchros aren't bad, just look at Emancipators. Emancipators traditionally only run 4 or 5 synchros, they run like 6 or 7 links and a few exceeds. They run more links than synchros, in a deck that's basically purely tuners and generic rock support. They could easily go into powerful synchros. You have to choose not to. Why? Because links are just that much easier, have a huge payoff, and are generally much stronger. I mean, to get a monster negate up, for example, you need Crystal Wing. Crystal Wing requires you to have a tuner and a non-tuner synchro monster, meaning you must synchro summon and then synchro summon again. The payoff here is that you have a monster that's somewhat hard to beat, but not really, and you get a once per turn monster negation. Now, what does Link monster need to do to get multiple monster negations, or even a single one? That's correct, you just need at least 2 monsters, accept tokens with different names. So if you get 4 monsters, you get 4 negates, and 4 negates is always better than 1. But, well, it reduces its attack, except you can easily protect it, so that's not an issue either. Like, I think that's one of the biggest issues. You know, links are just overpowered as hell, like, it's not even funny. Look at the Palooza. 4 negates just for having 4 monsters with different names. 4 monster effect negates. If your hand has 5 monsters, you can negate 4 of them, you only have 1 monster left. Assuming you can't just beat over a Palooza or something, but still, you get my point. Exceeds are another, you know, example of being really strong. This just requires 2 level 8 monsters, which is not that hard to do. Giving you a spell negate once per turn, and if they want to attack any other monster, you can just redirect the attack to this. Synchros don't have that kind of shit. I mean, let's look at the current 4 strongest synchros in the game, and in my opinion, the 4 only synchros that are generally worth playing. Borderload Savage Dragon requires a link monster in the graveyard and basically leeches off links. It's even fair to call this a synchro monster at this point. Yes, theoretically the card is white, it's a synchro monster, but in practice it's just a leech for links. It does have a very powerful effect, and it's one of the only reasons I consider synchros not completely dead in the water, because Savage Dragon exists. That's why it's only one of the synchros you usually see. Reality of the Arclight is just a quite low level, but easy to summon Omni Negate. It's kind of weird that this card's only seeing play right now. I've played it before in Infinity myself, all the decks are now also playing it. It's not bad. It's not bad at all, but it feels so weird, like, it just feels out of place. It's a level 4 Omni Negate, like what? And it's very easy to get rid of as well, because it only has 1000 defense, 600 attack, you know, but still, it's kind of weird. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity, and this is only powerful because of links, because Hulky Firebrax goes to the Synchro Tuner for free in the opponent's turn. Like this, go into phone Synchro, draw a card, and then just go into this. That's the only reason this card is good. The intended use is just summon it in your turn and, you know, prevent your opponent from using traps and stuff. That's not how King Calamity is played at all. The goal is to make your opponent's turn using Hulky Firebrax. It's only a good card because of the links you use to go into this. And then there's this, Chaos Ruler, which just got released in the OCG and should be released soon-ish in the TCG. And I'm calling it right now, this card will not survive 2 ban lists. Whenever we get a good synchro monster, like the World Chalice Justice Char, every time we get a good synchro, it's gonna get banned anyway. That's just how Yu-Gi-Oh works these days. Now, this card is interesting because it is a strong synchro released in 2020, and that's something I didn't see myself coming either. When synchro summoned, you can activate top 5 cards of your deck, add a light or dark from that to your hand, and send the rest to the grave. If it's in the grave, you can banish a light and dark from your hand and or graveyard, except itself, and then special summon it. Which is quite nice. This card isn't good because it's a strong synchro, it's more that you can just toolbox it into other stuff. You can use this material for Exceed summoning, you can use it as a link material. That's why it's good, it's a further extension for other summoning methods. It's not good because of it being a strong synchro. Although it's not bad either, I mean it helps synchro decks. But that's one of the big issues. When you look at the 4 strongest synchros, 2 require you to use links pretty much. 1 is only a toolbox for other summoning methods. Like it's only to make, you know, Exceed stronger, for example. You don't really use this as a synchro boss. Although there are some cute things you can do with it, like the whole tracking Archfiend Abyss, for example. But, you know, usually you aren't using this for it being strong or something. Well, then there's this, which is just a rare exception. And besides that, it's an Omni Negate. It's strong, but it's not game breaking or anything. So that's one of the big issues. The strong synchros we do have are totally strong because of links. Now, one other good synchro that I didn't mention yet is Ultimate Sulkin, but this is a very specific case, which has some quite specific requirements to set it up, basically. And usually you also use links for this, so yeah. Now let's look at some synchros from the past and why they've fallen off. Stardust Dragon. It used to be really strong, but the answer is simple. It doesn't have high enough stats, and destruction effects aren't that common anymore. Black Rose Dragon is a good sign of power creep. When a synchro summons, you can just destroy all cards on the field. Yeah, that's not even remotely useful nowadays. And honestly, that's kinda sad. That just goes to show how bad power creep really is. A card that just blows up the entire field is not relevant. And it's not even hard to make in decks that can run it either. You can just use the Stru. Oh wait, we can't have good tuners. You can just use other tuners to go into it. Like, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Just blowing up the entire field not being good anymore. Power creep. Like, power creep's the biggest issue with synchros. We've got years and years of power creep, but we haven't got a new good synchros yet. The closest thing we ever got was just getting an Emancipator, and people already wanted to hit, because, well, we can't have nice things in Yu-Gi-Oh! People always want new things to get hit. But the biggest issue is, we've got years and years of power creep, but where are the new good tuners? Where are the new good synchros? We don't really get those. Yes, we've gotten Gale's Ruler, and that's like the only thing we've gotten in years. And maybe Savage Dragon. It's like, when are we getting new good synchro support, Konami? It's about damn time. We deserve it. We have the worst summoning method. Come on. Then there's Hulky Fibrax, which is just an entire problem on its own. Arguably the reason why Glow Bulb got banned in the first place. Reason why they, for no reason at all, which is by the way funny, and I want to mention that in a second, these cards got limited, which is like the funniest thing of the entire story. Like, these getting limited is the biggest joke ever. But this just breaks synchros and makes it so you have to play links. Which in Master Rule 4 made sense. Master Rule 5, however, it's not a good thing. Because now people can just generically use tuners and pretend synchros are good. Wait, what do you mean synchros are bad? I used Jet Synchro in my combo. Yes, did you actually synchro summon with it? No, of course not. Why would I synchro summon? But yeah, like, at least Aurora Dron helps a bit because you cannot link summon for the rest of the turn after you use its effect, but This doesn't see play in meta strategies. I know some people want it banned, but it's not even a good card. Or close to meta. Yeah. Junk Speeder isn't good because it locks you to synchros, and synchros just are bad nowadays. Junk Speeder is probably one of the most overhyped cards out there. Now I used to, when I still went by Atlas Rising, do certain combos with Speeder that looked disgusting. I can tell you, outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Junk Speeder isn't good at all. And they have Blazer and Quasar. Oh god, Blazer and Quasar. So Quasar is the saddest story. We got this way too late. We got it way after Zexal. Oh, sorry, way after 5D, somewhere in the Zexal area. Especially in Europe, we got it later. America had it as a jump promo, which we couldn't use here. And honestly, back when it was around, summoning this and maybe one other negate was enough to have a considerably scary board. Nowadays, you can go out, summon 3 copies of Shooting Quasar Dragon, yes, 3 Quasars, and still lose the match. They just have to Dark Ruler no more and kick over them, which isn't the hardest task ever. I think that's the funniest part, like. How did we get to the state where 4k attack monster, 4000 attack, that can attack multiple times, can negate any card effect once per turn, isn't a strong monster anymore? You know the game is fucked when that happens. Part of it is to blame on Kaijus. Kaijus are beyond ridiculous. Kaijus made it so an entire playing style, boss monster deck, has disappeared. Now we had a relevant one, but people really wanted it to go, called Masterpiece. Masterpiece at least, I'm not saying True Draco is a fun deck, but at least gave boss monster deck a reason to exist, a deck to play. But now that entire strategy is just gone, and I think combos are following the same route due to head traps being obnoxious. I mean, why the hell is this card a thing? Like, seriously, Nibiru just looks like some guy kept losing to some weird combo gimmicky deck on Dueling Book. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna make some cringy OC custom card to deal with it. But instead of everyone telling him to get good, it's an actual Konami card. Like, that's the most ridiculous part. This reads like some cringy, shitty card made by somebody that misses normal summoning Dark Magician and kicking for a game with it. But somehow it's an official card, like, that's the weirdest part about Nibiru. Anyway, like, let's look at the good tuners we have. Jet Synchron requires you to discard to special summon itself. It's not really good, is it? I mean, you need to discard for it. This requires you to have 5 or more cards in extra deck than you have than your opponent. So your opponent must have 5 more cards in the extra deck than you do. Now this does sound great, but it's very specific, requires certain circumstances. And if by any chance they don't run an extra deck, you cannot use the second effect. Or well, the effect of this card is not the second effect, it's the only effect. Plague Spreader requires you to stack a card from your hand on top of your deck, which is even worse than discarding. Yeah, it's one of the best options we have, because tuners just aren't great at the moment. Like, that's one of the biggest issues. When the Kali Effect made a video about this topic, which kinda inspired this video, he already talked about tuners just not being good and being a big part of the issue. But wanna know a joke? At least at that point we had Destrudo and Glow Bulb, both being valid options. I'm not saying these are the best cards either, but at least I made Synchro Summoning a possibility. Of course Konami hates Synchros more than any other person. Like seriously, even Aporia from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds that wanted to end Synchro Summoning didn't hate them that much. They just completely nailed Synchro decks with this though, and it's like, no, Synchro decks cannot exist. Fuck you, don't even try to Synchro Summon. What meta deck was running Destrudo? What meta deck was running Glow Pulp? The answer is simple, none of them. Not even a single one of them. And Hulky Fibrax wouldn't change that. Like, that's the biggest part people tend to forget. Hulky Fibrax combos look flashy, but in practice they aren't viable for multiple reasons. I mean, if combos were strong, I would be a god. I mean, I'm the best Infinity player out there. I have insane Infinity deck lists. I can put up multiple negates without any issues, very consistently. And the deck doesn't even stand a chance at locals. I'm not talking about the regionals, I'm not talking about the YCS. At your fucking locals, Infinity stands no chance, despite being full power. The deck can set up so many negates, but because it dies to hand traps, it's not strong. One note issue with Synchro decks, they are also weak to hand traps. They have no chance of being strong, yet somehow, some way, Konami thinks they're scary and keeps hitting them over and over again. Which is the most ridiculous thing ever, but it's the truth. Why does this happen? I don't know. Alright, a good example is the final good Synchro monster we had. Ip, the World Challenge just this year. Finally, we got a good Synchro card. Oh, you banned it to your list later. Damn it. Like, you can't have nice things. It's such a shame. At least we had Emergency Teleport once, that just summons a tuner from your deck, which would be great, but it's limited. Thanks, Cosmo. Appreciate it. And then there's this other tuner, which theoretically sounds good, but honestly, it's the reason why Cherubini is on the list, is because it's only a tool to go into Cherubini for most decks. You don't care about it being a tuner most of the time. You just use it to go to Exceeds or Cherubini, which is basically an Exceed as a link monster. I mean, if you don't look at the picture, this is basically an Exceed monster. 2 level 3 monsters and then an effect. Like, yeah. But the most ridiculous part, and I want to finish this off with, we had a few decent synchros at 3. Hyper Librarian and Trishula. Now, neither cards really saw competitive play, and the reason why is simple. TG Hyper Librarian combos aren't consistent at all. And even when they are somewhat consistent, they're easy to disrupt. They're weak against interruptions, once again, and these combos are very gimmicky. Especially Trishula, if you are abusing multiple Trishulas, you aren't summoning multiple Trishulas, you're actually using Desynchro. There's only one deck that can really abuse multiple Trishulas. That's Infinity. Infinity will never choose to Trishula loop you, because setting up barriers is better. There's no practical reason to ever run multiple copies of Trishula in any deck. Yet Konami is so out of touch, they actually limited it. Now, I would be more upset at Trishula getting limited if it actually mattered, because truth be told, nobody will be running multiple copies of Trishula. But it just goes to show how out of touch Konami really is with this game. They for some reason think Trishula at multiples is a problem. Like at one point decided, yeah, Trishula can go up, it's not a problem. Nobody is using Trishula. Hey, we really need to limit Trishula. Wait, you mean all these problematic meta cards? Ash that's stopping decks from being relevant, Nibiru stopping combo decks from being playable? No, we don't need to hit those. We need to limit Trishula, as it's obviously an issue to the game. But Konami, let me ask you this. What meta deck used multiple Trishulas recently? Yeah, don't think for too long, because I know the answer. Nobody fucking uses Trishula in the meta. It requires 3 materials, and the payoff is banishing 1 card from your opponent's hand, field, and or grave. Thanks, really cool. Now, this does sound like a great effect. But keep in mind, that if you're somehow able to negate this, you're really boned, because you have a 2700 beater that isn't very relevant besides just, being a big beater. Like, I'm not sure what Konami was thinking when they actually, thought limiting Trishula was necessary. But let's talk about another one. So, recently, you decided, TGs. That's one stun deck from the 5Ds era. Let's actually do the deck justice and give them some support. So we went and gave TG mediocre support. Not gonna say it's the greatest support ever, the deck is playable now. But the support could have and should have been better. At least give them some kind of church. Sorry for that noise. But the issue is, You have TGs being great. What do? You limit their only generic synchro. What the fuck, Konami? That makes no sense at all. But yeah. Like, why hit TG Hyper Librarian? It wasn't used in any meta decks. No single strategy will use multiple copies. Sorry for that noise once again. But yeah. You won't ever use multiple copies in any type of deck. Only very gimmicky decks that only look cool on YouTube. So the point is, TG Hyper Librarian is just not relevant. Nobody would ever run multiple copies besides TGs themselves are very gimmicky decks. I'm just so upset at Konami. Synchros just completely suck and it's sad. Anyways, hope you guys liked the video. See you guys next time. Started Synchro signing out.